Hi, Miss Volin again, your art teacher. We are going to be working on a project today called Warm Hands, and it's all about the idea of integrating math into art. It uses concentric circles as well as the idea of combining warm colors versus cool colors. So what you're going to need for this project is a compass. I actually recommend the one that Jerry's provides. It's really sturdy. It doesn't fall apart like a lot of compasses I've used, and I just really highly recommend it because I have a hard time using compasses. This one makes it easy for me. You're also going to need black construction paper and some sturdy paper to do the actual drawing on, and then a nice set of colored pencils. Here's how we're going to begin. We're going to begin by doing our concentric circles. And to remind you, concentric circles or concentric squares or triangles are circles or shapes that start at a beginning radial point and then increase outward in size from that same radial point. So here we go. We're going to start our first circle. You go ahead and you place the sharp end of the compass in the middle of the paper, and you draw a little circle. So you spin around and you're making the first circle in your ring of circles. I almost have mine done. Almost. Don't get frustrated because it can be somewhat difficult, but just keep at it. It'll happen. I'm going to actually increase the size of mine a little bit outwards and adjust it. Sometimes you have to adjust how far out the lead extends to match up with how far out the point extends. Let's try again. Okay, I think I'm making a circle. Phew, that's a relief. All right, now you've done your first circle. You want to then adjust this so that the next one's going to be a little wider out. You place the pointy part right back on the same dot that you started again because we want these to have the same radial point in the middle. It's getting easier every time. Sweeping it around. Okay, adjust it again so it's a little further out. You don't have to be precise as far as how much you adjust it each time. It's nice if it's close. You don't want some concentric circles that are a little bit tiny and then bigger and then giant. So, but if they're close enough, it'll still look really cool with the final project. So, okay, so I've got a few there. I'm going to adjust it out some more. The key is to always go back to that same middle point. Okay. Oops. And there's really only so far that you can spread these, and we're going to go right up to the end of that. Just going to keep going, keep going. And it's actually, you're going to say, oh, but it's starting to go off the paper. That's kind of what we want to have happen. Okay, I think I can get one more circle out of this and still have it show up a little bit on the page. Okay, we have our circles. The next part is we are going to be tracing our hands. When you do this part, I'd like you to put your hands, make sure that, if you can see my example here, I tried to make sure that one of my fingers was passing through the middle circles. So take your time on this. Do this rather lightly, because if you press in too much on your fingers, they start to look a little wonky. So just lightly go around your fingers. Come back down. Okay. And even here, like I was wearing my rings. So you may want to come back in and just kind of straighten them out a little bit. And over here, something happened. And just make a little correction. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky. You'll have to really pay close attention to where you're coloring cool colors and where you're coloring warm colors. I like to go ahead and start with the background colors, which are going to be the cool colors, because this is all about warm hands, the idea that we're warm-blooded, and so the colors we choose for the hands are warm, the background are cool. So let's pick some cool colors. Let's have a green, a blue, a dark blue, and let's do that because I want to do a pattern. So a pattern is, of course, a repetition of lines or shapes or colors. I'm going to color in the first part. Here's what you have to think about. When you get to the part of the circle that hits where you have drawn your hand, do not color in that part with the background color. So you have to stop right there. In fact, what I think I might do is actually trace over my hand a little bit darker so that it makes it really clear where I stop with the background color. Because if you mess up the pattern, it's going to be obvious really quickly and the point of the design gets lost. So I'm going to retrace where I had my hand, and then I know where the delineation is of color. Okay, so I started with the green. I did this one inner little circle. Next I'm going to do this turquoise blue and color in the next circle, stopping right there. You can see that I stopped when I hit the line of my finger. I'm doing careful coloring, rich coloring, which is where you're not having any of the white show through, taking my time. Okay, my pattern was going to be green, turquoise, and then this darkish purplish blue color. So for the next circle, that's what we're going to start with. Make sure that when you're doing your coloring, you're doing it all one direction. A circle, we're kind of bringing it around. We are not doing scribble scrabble and starting this way and then starting that way. It makes a huge difference in the professionalism. This project is for much older students, and we want it to look that way. This is not easy, I know, and you want it to look like you put your time and your best effort into it. Okay. Let me do just one more circle here. Basically, it's a half circle. Here, let me show you something. So here is the hand. If you can see here, our background circle continues beyond where the finger is. So we're going to bring this blue around over here. I like to outline it like this first so I know exactly where I'm coloring, and then color that in with the navy blue. So you can kind of get the idea that the overlaid hand is going to be the warm colors and the background is going to be the cool colors, but just where it shows through. Let me just do one more of the circles so hopefully you can get the idea of that. Now I'm going a little quickly now because I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, because I know you'd rather spend it working on your own project rather than watching me, but I just want to make sure that you get the idea. It's okay to turn your paper. That's helpful. Oh, I get to the finger, so I stop. I get past the finger, I continue. and continue. Okay. And then I would just, of course, repeat that pattern. Green, turquoise, blue, all the way out to the edge of the circle. Now let's talk about the hand. So the colors I'm going to use for the hand, I'm going to use a red, an orange, and a yellow. I think those will look good for the warm hand part. Now we still have over here, we have this, the other half of this little circle that we started with. So I'm going to do that in the red. I'm going to come back with the green because I didn't do a very thorough job of filling that in. Okay. Keep these aside, we don't want to get confused. So I did the red. Next I'm going to do the yellow on this part of the circle. So here we are, we're working on the yellow because our pattern was going to be red, yellow, orange. I'm speeding up a little bit. Okay, let me do the orange. I think this orange is going to be my favorite because I really like super bright, vibrant colors. I'm just going to do enough so that hopefully you can see the idea that where the hand overlaps the background, you can see that that's where the warm colors are and the cool colors are in the background, and then we have the concentric circles, and I think it turns out to look pretty super cool. All right, I'm going to continue the pattern going back to the red. Okay, even I'm getting a little confused. Okay, so then that was like this. So this is also part, you have to really pay attention to where the circles are. This would continue here. This is part of that same circle. So this would be red. Okay, that circle is complete. Next one, I will now go back to the cool color, which is the turquoise. No. Yes, which is the turquoise. This uses some brain power. But I'm not going to go ahead and finish all the coloring. You can figure it out, and you can see from my example. But I do want to talk to you about mounting it, because the way that you mount it is going to be more interesting. Let's say you've gone ahead, you've done all your coloring. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and cut it out here. You see where the last circle line is, and your hand ends where the circle is. So that's where I want you to cut it out. But go ahead and leave this right corner as a right angle, and this circle, curve this around. And hopefully, let's see if this will work with the mounting idea that I had. So you take a piece of black construction paper and you line this up. And if you can see, if you adjust this to the right corner, and this is right here, it's cool because it's not exactly centered. You have black showing in certain areas, but it's not like you've put the bullseye in the middle and there's a symmetrical black background around the outside. And I think it just makes it more interesting. It makes it more pop arty. And you know, this is the finished example, and I just think this looks so cool. It could be the cover of a CD. It could be a poster for your room. It's an interesting piece of pop art, and hopefully you've learned some artistic elements from it as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this project. I really enjoyed teaching it to you. Please go ahead and check out my other free art lessons online. Again, my name is Miss Volin, and see you again soon.